You're listening to Parasearch Radio, news, views and reviews from the world of the paranormal from across the UK and beyond. Find us on Facebook, Twitter and the World Wide Web. The views and opinions expressed by presenters and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Parasearch Radio or their affiliates and sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Parallel Prism Show. Tonight is Monday, the 23rd of September, and I'm your host, Jo. And in the studio this evening, I have got the amazing, I'm not even going to say that because she doesn't really need any introduction at all, but I've got MJ Dickson in the studio with me, and it's really cool because I can actually see her and you guys can't. So she's currently dancing at the moment. But good evening, MJ. How are you?
Hi, Jo. I'm so good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
I'm really hyper.
I was just about to say, we've just been chatting, haven't we, for the past 5 minutes? And I don't know what it is. It's like you're absolutely beaming from ear to ear, and I don't know what's happened, but it's like infected me sort of thing. It's like so smiling and we're having a good giggle, and honestly it's great, isn't it, when people come together like that?
Oh yeah. Well, I've had a really good day. It was my first day full-time paranormal today, so really exciting. I got so much work done, so I feel great.
That's good, isn't it? Stages on the up. So full-time paranormal now?
Yep, and I'm going to be releasing a bunch of events throughout the next few weeks. I'm going to be releasing my lecture schedule. I've got a few TV things coming up that's really exciting. I've got loads going on. Off to America this week to speak at the Belgrove Plantation Paracon in Virginia. So yeah,
jealous.
Excited.
So jealous that you're going over there.
I've never been to Virginia. I don't really know what to expect. It's always strange when you're going to a state where you have no idea at all.
I think the people are really nice, though, aren't they, there?
So far, everybody that I've spoken to is really nice. And I'm really, really lucky because the Sage Tribe is all over the world. And there's quite a significant amount of Sage Tribe members that are going to be at this event. So I kind of feel like I'm just going to go and meet friends. I know they have a few hundred people coming to the convention, so it's quite a big one. A little bit nerve-wracking.
You'll be fine. You will be fine. And you were just saying to me then that you haven't even wrote what you're going to talk about yet.
Well, I mean, I've got an idea, and because I was told there was no projector to start off with. So I was just going to get up there and talk, and, I have a basic idea. And then they told me they've got a projector screen. So now I have to manically put everything that I was going to say in some slides. In a way, I'm still going to do the same talk. It's just now I have the opportunity to show everyone the really cool castles and things that we investigate over here in England. So, it's more of a visual thing, showing them the places rather than trying to describe Warwick Castle, or Drakelow tunnels for that matter. And it's really nice because I get to share a bit more evidence and that sort of thing. So, yeah, going to be manically working on putting a presentation together for the next 2 days.
Good luck. That's all I'm going to say. And do you know what? If anybody can do it, I know you can. So,
Well, I work better under pressure, so let's hope I pull it off. It's good. It's always because I'm so busy.
I know. But, we've been friends for, how long now? 18 months nearly?
Probably longer, isn't it? I don't know.
I'm not sure. But we kind of hit it off straight away, didn't we? We got to the hotel, and I just want to kind of delve back into your side of, like, your mediumship side of things. Because when we were all kind of thrown together, Kerry was so fantastic in sending us all to the Daily Mail, and we all got picked up to do the female investigation piece with the Daily Mail. And we had such a great day, but the night before we all did that, it was we were all in the hotel, and actually no, it was DMV, wasn't it, the night before the hotel?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we all met on the set of the Daily Mail. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but we all got on very, very well there, and I think I made some really, really good friends on that day.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and then we kind of got thrown together again, didn't we, with GMB kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it was then that we kind of realised actually there is something here. And I just remember saying to you, forgive me for saying this, and I was like, why do I see these like hillbilly redneck people, and you just laughed at me, and you were just like, and I was like, why have they got shotguns? And you just got like looked at me, was like, yep, you're right, and I was like, okay.
Yep.
So
Crazy
yeah, so
family.
yeah, it was,
No,
it was
you picked up on my family who are professional hunters in Africa, and it was quite amazing. But it was the way you explained it that was just brilliant. I loved it.
it is quite, but you know what I'm like. I am so. I mean, I think there is some things I've said on investigations with you that you've sat there and you've gone, can't believe you've just said that, but I'm going to
Yeah,
take
we
that.
could never repeat those.
But
Yeah, it's
we
yeah,
have
good
had some
times.
great laughs, haven't we? But
Definitely.
yeah, just talk me through when you started having your own experience.
Well, one of the earliest memories that I have is when I was about 4 years old, and we were living in Zimbabwe. And I'm a fifth generation psychic medium. So I come from a very long line of crazy ladies. And I was walking through the house down the corridor, and my mom was walking towards me. We kind of met up at the spare bedroom door, and she was busy doing some laundry. And I remember looking into the room and looking back at my mom and going, "Mommy, who's that man?" And she fainted. And I freaked out, obviously, this young kid. My mom just dropped to the ground, and she came to, and all she said to me was, "Oh no, not you too." And at the time, I had no idea. So the idea of playing video games with my brother was way more exciting, and I ran off like any kid would do. And it was only years later that when I thought back to that moment, that I realized what she meant, that the gene had been passed down to me as well.
Uh-huh.
And that I was kind of stuck with it. And she always said to me that when I hit my early 20s, it's going to kick in properly. And my father was a military man, so I kind of brushed things off all the time, like, oh, crazy lady, away with the fairies. I took after my dad. It was very straight and narrow, seeing is believing kind of thing. And so throughout my entire childhood, I had things happen, but I would find a rational explanation, no matter how far-fetched that explanation was. And it got to a point where there was nothing else I could do but go, hey, okay, that was paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I just sort of embraced it because I'm nosy. Bottom line of the story, I'm really nosy and I wanted to know what's on the other side.
It's quite funny though, isn't it? How we all have kind of come together, but fate has kind of. I know it sounds really stupid, and a lot of people will always say, "Oh, fate is your own destiny. You make your own fate. You make your own destiny." I don't believe that at all. I think you're actually put with people to actually come together for a reason.
Absolutely. I mean, I've met people in the last few years and didn't ever think I would be working with them, or didn't ever think of what would come from that relationship. And it really is, it's weird because you do have these people that are put in your path for a
Mm-hmm.
specific reason, and you might not know it at the time, but when it happens, you're kind of like, oh wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. I mean, look
and
at the two of us, for instance.
I know.
We had our paths cross, and we've been going on so many investigations and things together, and it's kind of leading us down a different path, and it's really cool. It's a really exciting journey.
Yeah, it's great, and we did most terrifying places together, and we went to Drakelow tunnels, and And that was the first night that I probably had one of the most terrifying experiences, which, you know, and we need to talk about this because
Yeah.
I'm still like amazed to this day, some of the stuff. But obviously you'd visited Drakelow tunnels previously and I'd never been.
Mm-hmm.
You'd had an experience previously.
Yes.
But we'd never discussed anything. You said I had to stop an investigation, but you never explained why. There was no powers of suggestion there whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were doing the walk round, it was quite apparent because you actually counted the people that were there, and you said there's 14 people, and I
But
looked
we were
around
13 on the night.
yeah, and I was like, no, there's 13. And you were like, no, there's 14. I was like, no, MJ, I've just counted them. There's only 13 of us.
Yeah,
So,
I kept counting 14 people every time I stopped and did a head count throughout the investigation just to make sure everyone was safe. And it was weird because I counted 14 every single time and counting full figures. And everyone kept going, but there's 13. I'm like, no, there's 14 of us the whole night. It was just so bizarre.
yeah, it was bizarre. But I think that D tunnel, D9 or wherever I was, and I was with Gary, I was with Karen and Eddie and Victoria, and that was just unbelievable because you guys were outside. There was no way that you could have actually seen what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was only until I came back to the base room and explained what had happened. Now, I know people who listen to the show quite often will probably listen to me recollecting this quite a lot, but obviously they don't know your experience.
Mm-hmm.
But when we got together in the base room, we actually decided to talk about it. It was uncanny. The exact same thing happened at the exact same time.
It was really funny because when you joined me on that investigation, I still said to you, I didn't want to give anything away. And I said to you, just make sure you have your protection up because this place can get a little bit nasty at times. And I was so worried, but I didn't want to tell you what happened to me. I just wanted you to make sure that you were safe and aware. And let me tell you what happened for the listeners out there. Let me tell you what happened with me. So I had set up an investigation for a handful of people at Drakelow Tunnels about 5 or 6 years ago. And it was very soon into the investigation where I picked up on a really strong male energy. And he was not a particularly nice person. And I kept feeling like he was trying to get in. Is the only way I can put it. Like he was trying to jump. And I kept pushing him away and pushing him away. And I'd experienced something similar with trance mediumship once before. And I'm the kind of person that this is my space. You do not come in it. Don't care who you are. Don't stand for trance mediumship. It's not my thing. It terrifies me. And so I had this trance mediumship experience once before, and I kind of knew what signs I got when something got a bit too close. And this particular guy got in, and I blacked out a bit. I don't remember much from that moment. I have watched video footage from that particular investigation where you can hear the other investigators going, "That's not MJ." My whole body language is different. I was slurring. I couldn't focus on anything. I was stumbling. I was trying to open doors that weren't there. It was really intense and really bizarre. But he was such a nasty person that I literally felt violated.
Yeah.
And when I was removed from Drakelow Tunnels, I was taken outside. And when I sort of came to outside, I just broke down in tears because I felt that violated. And which is, I don't really cry unless it's Sunday at Sage Paracon. Then I ugly cry about everything. But it was a really intense experience, and we had loads of other things happen that night. So one of the other investigators was scratched really badly. I ended up with 3 scratch marks down my back that drew blood through 4 layers of clothing. It was middle of winter. Down in the tunnels, it's freezing. So a lot of other things happened. We came across an elemental in the tunnels that was really nasty. And so we decided, you know what, for the safety of the team and given everything that had happened in such a short space of time, maybe we should just call it a night. And it was probably a good thing that we did.
Mm-hmm.
But then fast forward to going back for the first time after that incident. And I warned you to keep up in that. And it was funny because I got to the gate and I realized that they hadn't given me the gate code to get in. And Alex and Corinne, two other really good friends of ours, investigators, had turned up just before everybody else. And I was stood at the gate staring at this padlock thinking, oh, damn it, like, how am I going to get some phone service now to figure out where to get this gate code from to get us in?
Mm.
And I was staring at the padlock and I just heard this male voice, crystal clear, give me the gate code. And I stood there thinking, you got to be kidding me. No ways. Like, that does not happen. No ways is it that clear. And I looked at Corinne and I was like, this is not happening. Like, I've got the code. Somebody's just told me the gate code. And it was the most bizarre thing. And she was like, well, try it. And I walked back up to the padlock and I put the code in and it unlocked.
Oh my God.
And I was just stood there in awe. Like, how on earth? I mean, they changed that code every so often purely because they have so many teams going in there investigating. They have to change the gate code. And I hadn't been there in like 6 years. So what are the chances that even in my subconscious, I would remember a gate code that I used once, especially after the evening that we had there?
Yeah. So, and also a male voice as well. That's quite significant though, isn't it?
Absolutely. It was very much this feeling that I got was like, oh yeah, come back in.
Yeah.
And so it made me really nervous. I was really on edge. To have you come back into the base and literally, you, excuse the stupid pun, but you look like you'd seen a ghost. You literally were pale. And that's when I was like, uh-oh, what happened?
What's happened?
And when you were describing everything that happened, it was literally word for word everything that I had experienced in that exact location. And it goes to show you, anyone who doesn't believe in all things paranormal, how would you explain that?
Exactly. And in this exact same spot and, the exact same experience that I had. And it was, it was frightening. And I'm not easily frightened. And that did frighten me. But I walked in there and I just went, oh, I don't like this place. As soon as I walked in.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, that kind of set us up for Most Terrifying Places, which starts in the US on the 30th of September.
It's actually starting on Tuesday, the 1st of October. There's been a slight date change. Yeah, so the network Travel Channel have changed the dates. So Most Terrifying Places, for all the guys in America, it starts airing on Tuesday the 1st on Travel Channel at 10 p.m. And in the very first episode, you'll be able to see the recreation and us interviewing Jo about her experience, as well as a couple other UK investigators that were on the very first investigation with me.
Yeah.
So
what's really interesting though, when we were recreating everything, I'm still amazed by it. We captured, didn't we?
Yeah.
A figure. And I was sat there and we were just discussing just normal, weren't we? And having a bit of a giggle like we always do when in between takes I was laughing and, as you do when you're filming. And I just remember just saying, oh, there's a man over here and he's listening to what we're saying. And
it was at that point where the production assistant, Freddie, took his phone out and we were just like, snap photos. And Freddie had snapped 3 or 4 photos in a row. And in one of the photographs, you actually see a guy in a boiler suit wearing a flat peak cap, but it's none of us. And there were only a handful of us down there, locked down in the tunnels. And so it is a pretty amazing photograph, to be fair.
Yeah. And when we looked at it, we tried to recreate it, didn't we? Because the perspective of it. You cannot see the legs of the person. You can the whole angles, everything just look. We tried to, but we couldn't.
Yeah,
Could we?
everything looks completely off. First of all, you can only see the top half of the figure. Secondly, it's completely out of proportion with where the wall is and in comparison to where you guys were standing at the moment. So there is no ways that it can actually be an actual figure. Now, what's interesting is about a month ago, the owner of Drakelow Tunnels actually captured a very similar image in one of the other tunnels.
Wow.
But the figure that he's got on camera standing in the middle of the tunnels looks as though it has a dog next to it or a dog-like creature.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So obviously Drakelow is one of your favorite places to visit.
Now.
Yeah, after everything. But also, Warwick Castle. So what experiences have you had there on a medium level?
Oh man. So I captured a fantastic photograph in Warwick Castle as well with a full-bodied apparition, which was actually verified by the castle because they were able to have a look at the date and time stamp on the photograph and match it to their CCTV camera, which then showed that I was alone in the room at the time. And which is really cool to have that validation, especially when you see the photo and how significant this and how prominent this figure is in the photograph. Now, one of the things on the mediumship side, I mean, I have such a draw to Warwick Castle. And I think it's because one of the stories in the Kenilworth bedroom is that of Archdeacon Coley, who was a South African archdeacon. And it's alleged that he raised a young girl from the dead on the bed in that room. So I don't know if it's because I'm South African that I have that trigger, but every single time I've gone into that particular room, we will get absolutely nothing on EVP. You will get absolutely no activity until I start speaking Afrikaans. And the moment I start speaking Afrikaans, it's kind of like he is right there with the mediumship. He's crystal clear, and another very prominent figure that's in that room is Aleister Crowley. He used to perform seances in that room with Anne, the fourth Countess of Warwick. And what's really interesting about the mediumship side with Aleister is the fact that I've been to numerous locations where I'd never done research on the location. I had no idea that these locations had anything to do with Aleister Crowley. However, when I was investigating, I'd always hear this male voice say, "Hello, Poppet." And as soon as I heard the "Hello, Poppet," I knew it was him. And it's actually funny because last month I went back to Drakelow. And the night I went back to Drakelow, another very good medium friend of ours, Claire Hinks, she contacted me and asked me what I was doing that had something to do with Aleister Crowley. And I said to her, well, I don't think Drakelow's got anything to do with him, but I'm out on an investigation. And she was like, yeah, I keep hearing him say, "Hello, Poppet." And it's funny because I never, ever told her that.
It's strange, isn't it? Yeah, it's really strange how other people will pick up on things and tell you.
Yeah. But, Warwick Castle, I've always had a draw to it. It is one of my favorite locations. I was actually there today.
Oh, yes. You were doing your shoot, weren't you, today?
Yeah, I actually, those were just my cheesy photos that were on Facebook. But I had a bit of a photo shoot there, just a couple of pics in the Kenilworth bedroom because of that whole story that I've just told you with taking the photograph as well as filming an episode of Most Terrifying Places there, telling that story on camera. And due to the fact that they had discovered 2 transcripts, and these transcripts were handwritten by Anne, the fourth Countess of Warwick, and they're transcripts of the seances held there with Aleister Crowley. But it also details the names of the spirits that they were in contact with. Now, what's funny is I read through those transcripts after doing an investigation there. And during the investigation, we had the name Richard come through. only to find that it's the same spirit Alistair and Anne had made contact with in the Kenilworth bedroom all that time
All
ago.
those years ago. Wow.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
I think I want to investigate Warwick Castle now.
I will be setting up a Sage paranormal investigation at Warwick Castle pretty soon. So
Sounds good to me.
so anyone that wants to come and join me can do that.
So your mediumship skills, because you obviously, I know you as a paranormal investigator. Everybody in the industry knows you who does obviously Paracon, you do events, you do lectures and things like that. People don't necessarily know that you're a medium, do they?
Nope. No. I don't really do anything on that side. I don't know how to put it. I use my spidey senses during investigations because I like the fact that I can walk into a room and go, all right, there's a bloke here that's about 6 foot tall, looks like this and this. I'm going to stick a digital recorder in his face because I know where he is.
Yeah.
So I like capturing things on audio or camera or whatever the case is. I actually do tarot readings. I haven't in a really long time. And it's purely down to the fact that I'm so busy. I know, well, a lot of people have said that my readings were pretty accurate. So, hopefully.
Really good. I'm no good at tarot, though. I have tried and tried and tried. It just doesn't work for me whatsoever.
See, I can't tune in to mediumship and give messages to people without tarot cards. It's really bizarre. So the moment I put my cards down, it's literally like psychic Tourette's. The best way to describe it. It's verbal diarrhea. It just comes out. And,
yeah.
And I can describe people who are there and what they're wearing. Describe, certain traits and things in such vivid detail as long as I've got my cards in front of me.
Yeah.
It's almost like I'm ready to work now. It's like I put the cards down and it's an open invitation, like, okay, guys, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And when I'm on an investigation, I tend to tune in because I want to know where to place the equipment.
Yeah.
But it's really bizarre when it comes to just walking up to somebody and doing mediumship. I don't really.
Yeah.
I get blocked doing that because I used to really have bad psychic Tourette's, and when someone's least expecting it and you walk up and go, hey, by the way, Grandma Susan's hi, they don't like it much.
Yeah, I think had an instance of that when somebody was asking me about all the mediumship side of things, and then they actually sit there and say, oh, will you read me, and then they don't actually like it when you've actually read them. It's things like that I find, people think that you're kind of a performing monkey sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for instance, a couple of years ago, I was doing a little fair thing and I was selling all my Witchworks products and T-shirts and that sort of thing. And I didn't intend on doing readings at all at this event. And I had this little marquee up, my little stall and all of that. It was a beautiful summer day. And I kept having all these people coming up to me going, are you doing readings? Are you doing readings? And I kept going, no, just buy something. No. And eventually I was like, do you know what? Damn it. Fine. I have my cards here. Let's do this. Let's do mini readings. But everyone, I was very against it because people had been drinking. There was live music, there was beers flowing, that sort of thing. And there's this group of ladies that came up to me, and it was all a bit of a, ha, let's get a reading. Don't really believe in this. It's all hogwash kind of thing. And I said to the woman, don't sit down for a reading if you're not prepared for what I'm going to tell you. Don't ask me to read you if you think this is one big joke. And she sat down in front of me with this real attitude about her. And I put the cards down in front of me and I just looked at her blankly and went, let's talk about the affair you're having with the guy at work, shall we? And she just blanked it. She burst into tears and I was like, okay, it seems I've got your attention now. Would you please take this seriously? This isn't a joke. And I was just so fed up and so angry at that point. I was just like, right, you're going to get it as it is. Like, no filter, you're having it. I think that's the last time I did a reading, to be fair. I was really, really upset by it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It is quite funny though, because I've done readings for a few people in our village, and one girl, I've not seen her for probably about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
And she came round to my house, and she, as soon as she walked in, it was like, oh gosh, there must have been about 15 people sat there. And I just went, do you want no holds barred reading, or do you want me to pussyfoot around things? And she went, come on, Joe, I know you by now. I think you just need to give it me. So gave her this no holds barred reading,
Mm-hmm.
and everything that I've said has all come true. And I find it fascinating when things like that happen.
I did a load of readings via Skype. Now, I used to poo-poo people that did Skype readings very badly, actually. I couldn't understand how you could do an accurate reading if the person wasn't sat right in front of you, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't make sense to me, because it's very much an energy thing for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of have to have the person sat in front of me. And a bunch of people in America asked me to do readings for them, friends of mine. And so I started doing them via Skype, and I was like, wait, hang on a second. This is exactly the same as them sitting in front of me.
Yeah.
There's no difference. And it was kind of a light bulb moment for me. And during the one day, I had 5 sort of mini readings booked with friends of mine. And early in the morning, I walked into my living room to see this little old man dressed completely in white, like golfing clothing, and with this like white flat peak cap and everything as well. And he didn't say a word. He just smiled and stood in the corner of my living room. And I was like, well, this is really bizarre. So I thought, okay, so obviously the first reading that I'm doing, this little old man is here for that person. And I started describing him, and she was like, no idea, no, nothing to do with me. And I was like, oh, okay. I went on to the next person, did their reading. I was like, by the way, there's this little old man. And they were like, no, not for me. It was probably like my 4th reading. And this was like throughout the entire day reading for friends, split up over the whole day. And by that night, I got to like the 4th or the 5th reading. And I was like, there's this little old guy that just won't go away. So, and my friend was like, oh yeah, it's my granddad.
Oh.
Like, all right, bless him. He's been stood here in my living room since like 8 o'clock this morning. So
just waiting for you to talk to him.
Yeah.
It is mad though, isn't it? Because, like when I've been coming to investigation, I usually have weird dreams to start off with. And, like Drakelow Tunnels has got probably the worst paranormal hangover for me ever. Every time I finish there, I am so drained. It's just unbelievable. But yeah, I have dreams about people, and I've woken up quite vividly thinking, oh my gosh, is that person still here? And then I'm still here. So
I get really, the lines blur for me because I'm claircognizant. So I receive information as though it's my own memories and things. And then it's almost like I've had a conversation with somebody about something. Like I remember it as a memory. Like I remember having this conversation with them. For instance, a friend of mine was leaving the company that he was working for to open his own restaurant. And I thought everybody knew. I thought it was like common knowledge that he was leaving to open his own place. And so I casually walked up to him and I was like, oh, hey, Mark, when do you open your own restaurant? And he just looked at me like, shh, don't say anything. And I was like, oh, doesn't everybody know that? I was like, oh, my bad. He's like, how the hell do you know? So I get really confused with what I've heard from the other side and what I've actually heard from people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get myself into trouble. I get a lot of foot and mouth with that a lot. Especially walking up to someone like, congratulations on the baby. And they're like, what baby?
Oh, yeah, I did that as well. But since we've kind of met and we've been doing investigations, we've been having, there's a couple of us actually who have been having these weird timings. So I'll look down at my phone and I'll just message you just randomly, and you'll go, "Did you see what time you messaged me?" And I was like, "No, I 14:14, 13:13, 11:11, and things like that." How do you explain?
Do you know what? I think that is a sign from your guides telling you that you're on the right track, that you're doing the right thing. And, you know, a lot of people poo-poo that. But honestly, every time I've had those synchronicities and those numbers showing up constantly, it's always followed by really, really good news. So, I mean, that's just from my personal experience and seeing the experience of others who are seeing the same synchronicities and same numbers and things. I just genuinely think it's a sign from your guides going, "Hey, thumbs up, you're on the right track, keep going."
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had that constantly for the last week. So
Yeah, I I know. I keep sitting here thinking to myself, "What time is it? What time is it?" And I just looked and I said to Ollie today, "What time is it?" And he was like, "It's 11:11, Joe." And I was like, "Oh, all right then."
it's literally happening almost every hour on the hour for me in the last few days. But I think it is because, you know, I have been going through a bit of a transition period into full-time paranormal. It was really scary for me leaving my job and that sort of thing. And, you know, it's also the same with songs on the radio as well. You know, I always believe that spirits have a way of getting signs across to you. And
they do.
For instance, one of the songs that reminds me the most about my brother is "Wherever You Will Go" by The Calling.
Yeah.
It was a song that was sang at his funeral. That was his favorite karaoke song, so he would constantly sing that song. And so every time I think of a song that reminds me of my brother, it would definitely be that song. And I woke up on the morning, I decided to resign from my day job. And I got in the car and I was like, am I actually going to do this? Am I going to do this? Am I just resigning from a job that I love so much? I have the most amazing boss. I have the coolest job. And I'm just going to give that up. Am I ready to do this? And I got in the car, turned the engine, and the radio came on and it was that song. And I was like, oh, okay. And I instantly felt like my brother was there and that I was at ease. Like, this is a good decision to make.
Yeah.
And then I'd resigned, I'd finished the work day, got back in the car to drive home, turned the radio on, and the song was playing again. And I was like, oh, coincidence, you know, what are the chances kind of thing. But I didn't think anything too much of it playing that moment again. I then finished my very last day at work last week, and I got in the car to drive home, and I'd just given my boss the office keys, and it was like, I'm handing her the keys for the last time. Like, I'm not coming back here. And it was really sad and really bizarre. And I got into the car, and as I started the car, the song started playing, and I was like, wow, okay. And so far in the last week, every time I've received really good news, that song is playing somewhere. So I'm just kind of like, all right, I get it. You're here.
He is watching over you, though. He is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I know.
He is.
We actually, sorry to interrupt, we actually had a really interesting thing happen on an investigation on Friday the 13th of September. I took my mom on her very first paranormal investigation, which was really cute. She loved it because she hasn't had a chance to like go out with all the tech, because mediumship side, she's like, oh, this is normal. But during the investigation, we were doing some EVP as well as using Ouija boards and trying to see if they would say things via EVP first and then use the planchettes to repeat what they'd said. And some stuff started coming through the board, which was from my brother, directed to my mom. And my brother and I have a password. And I asked him to give me the password, basically, and it came up on the board. And then I asked him to say it on EVP, and he did. So we have my brother's voice saying the password on the EVP. So, you know, they are always there.
Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with that as well.
I was just reading someone said in the chat room it's when the sat nav says arrival time when we're going on an investigation, it says arrive at 1919. That happens all the time.
Yeah, and not just that though as well. Sat navs have this almighty way of trying to keep you away from places as well. A mutual friend of ours was going to an investigation and he didn't know where he was going. And apparently the sat nav took him all around the houses. And it was only until he walked into this investigation that he realized that he didn't want to be there. So sat navs have this uncanny way of taking you where you're not supposed to be.
Well, another mutual friend of ours finished an investigation and had something follow her and messed with her sat nav because she ended up getting rerouted for like 4.5 hours and having to have someone come and fetch her because her sat nav.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was really bad actually.
Wow, 4.5 hours. That's like me going to see Mark. That is when I'm on my way up to Scotland, and then I've actually come out of Abingdon services, and I'm actually travelling southbound for half an hour and not even realising. And I'm just like, what am I doing?
Oh no!
I keep sitting here thinking, do I really have black hair? Sometimes I wonder, but yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that we've done, just I sit there and think, oh, wow.
Yeah, I've had some interesting experiences.
So, for mediums out there who are wanting to hone their craft, basically, what advice would you give to them?
The first thing you need to do is learn how to ground and protect yourself, because without good grounding and decent protection, you're just letting yourself open to all sorts of things. I mean, at the end of the day, even mediums don't really know exactly what's on the other side of what we're facing. There's a lot more to it than we even understand. So definitely learn how to ground and protect yourself first. Get that under wraps. And then, there's so many good books that explain things in real aha moment kind of ways. I kept reading book after book and nothing clicked with me when I was developing my mediumship until I read The Infinite Quest by John Edward. And he just had a way of describing things that was just like, oh, well, I'll be damned. Like, it's in front of me the whole damn time.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't understand from reading the other books. So, I would definitely recommend reading Infinite Quest by John Edward, Earth Angel by Ross Bartlett. If you want to learn more meditation and that sort of thing and just keeping your mind calm and that sort of thing, then I would go with The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. There's loads of decent books and things out there.
Yeah.
Loads of really easy exercises. A lot of people really battle with psychic protection, just envisioning that white light around themselves, and I have a very unique way of explaining it. It's a very MJ way of explaining it. But genuinely, if you cannot picture a white light around yourself, picture a glow-in-the-dark condom. Works every time. Genuinely.
You know what? I knew there was going to be some MJ colloquialisms come out.
You can see me on camera, but for those that are listening, I am getting ready to do a lecture and teach psychic protection, and I have 2 boxes of 40 condoms in each that I plan on giving out.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. What?
Do you know what? It's so funny. It's funny, but you will never forget to do your psychic protection because
no, definitely not. But yeah, with the dark condom, that's hilarious.
But it works.
Yeah, it definitely does. I'll be sat there now thinking when I'm doing my protection, when I'm walking in, I'll be like, yeah. That is hilarious. Oh, my cheeks are hurting so much. But that's what's good, though, isn't it? About other mediums, you tend to learn off other mediums.
Absolutely.
As well.
Look, the whole point of me bringing up this whole psychic condom story is because you need to find ways that work for you, that you're going to remember things. And if that means picturing a glow-in-the-dark damn condom for your protection, because that is easier for you to do, then do it. If it means that, you know, some people can quiet their mind so well and just sit there and meditate. I can't do that. I suck at meditating. Because
I don't think I've heard you be quiet for more than 5 minutes.
No ways. There's no ways. I can talk the hind legs off a donkey. Being quiet for more than 5 minutes is not happening. But literally, I can't sit there and go, okay, I'm not thinking of anything, because I'm like, I'm quiet. I'm cool, calm, collected. I've got to add eggs to my shopping list. Damn it. But literally, it's impossible for me. So I have to find other ways of doing things. So I do this really weird tree meditation that works for me.
You're quite an earthy person, though, aren't you? You love your garden. You love all things like that. But I think depending on what sort of kind of medium we are, you see, I'm not earthy. I kill probably everything. I am rubbish at plants. Mind you, my orchids are
fiery though.
my orchids are very they're sustaining themselves now. I've had them for about 3 years, so I'm doing all right with those. But yeah, I found that I went down more of a natural healing route. So like as I'm talking to you, my hands are on fire, and that's how I know. Like I'm sat there thinking, yeah, this is the right way to go, because my hands are boiling, and I'm sat here thinking, obviously I know I'm obviously covered up and everything, but my hands burn. They do burn.
My mom does the same. She has healing hands.
Yeah, and my grandmother was the same. But my mum's very much like you. She's very, earth kind of, everything's of the earth, crystals and, all the lotions and I hate saying this, but the potions and things. My mum is
love it. All my potions and tinctures?
Yeah.
Love it.
So, yeah. So that whole thing, it's you either go down a few different routes, don't you, through that natural progression as a medium, but you take off little skills, and you're very, very spiritual of the earth. You're very much like that.
Yeah.
You said to me I was fiery.
You are fiery.
Oh, I don't know. I am.
You're fiery. You're definitely fiery.
Fiery personality. I'm a nice fiery though. I'd help anybody here. I think I'm a bit like you. You don't do that.
Yeah, do you know what? People take me up the wrong way, because I am literally two of the loudest nations in one. I'm Greek and South African, so God help us all. That in itself is just two really hyper loud, in your face people. But because of the Greek side, I come across really abrupt. And so anyone who's investigated with me will know. Everyone's like, MJ, you just have this look. And especially when I'm doing EVP sessions and I'm trying to keep quiet, they're like, we know, you have this look. So you don't even have to say anything. And I'm like, well, I'm not mean.
Yeah.
I don't mean that.
It's the one that your mum used to give you when you'd done something wrong and you were like, oh, uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's probably why most of my friends call me Mama MJ.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, some of the stuff that we've said on investigations has been really.
Dear Lord.
I've had some absolute giggle fits with you, and and Corinne and Alex and Karen and Eddie, and even now, some of you guys bits, and it's been a bit of a strange transition for me from going from Phantasmic and obviously that sort of dwindling down into something totally different, because it's a different chapter of my life now. And
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, and it's fantastic how I've kind of gone from being Phantasmic and setting that up to kind of going down the path that I've now come down, but also meeting the people that I'm supposed to meet and I've met for a reason.
Well,
So,
that's it. So many times I said I would never have a Sage team as such. I would never actually have a team of people that I work with on a regular basis, like this is the team. But I've met so many wonderful people over the years that it's just been a very natural progression to want to work with them, or that we've investigated so many times that it just
mhm.
seems natural, so in future going ahead, I do have a load of Sage Paranormal events, but I've got a lot of you guys helping me on those events. And it literally is just because I want to grow the Sage Tribe. And the Sage Tribe is just anyone who's joined us on investigations and events, anyone that, loves all things paranormal. It's open to everybody and anybody. And the tribe are all so welcoming. So I just want to expand that. I want to be able to bring more people into the Sage Tribe and show them that there is a paranormal world without all the bickering,
Drama,
and we don't have that in the
egos.
Sage Tribe.
Yeah,
We
the
don't have that at all.
egos are terrible at the moment. The amount of things I'm seeing, and the whole disrespect as well. Of certain things that have been going on. I mean, I'm not going to give precedence to that because it's not neither here nor there. But yeah, you're right. It's like a big family, isn't it? And it is great.
It really is. And whether you have joined us for one investigation, or whether you are just coming along to a lecture, or whatever the case is, the Sage Tribe are just the most welcoming bunch of people. I always laugh because I was at Karen's Supernatural Fair last year, September, and I was stood there with Corin and Alex at the stall, and this woman came up to the stall and started talking about the Sage Paracon. And before I could even say anything, Karen and Corinne and Alex and everybody they just overwhelmed me. They were just like, wow, if you come to the Sage Paracon, be there with a bunch of friends, and don't worry about coming on your own. And it was really weird for me to stand back and watch that happen. It was really sweet, and I felt like, all right, guys, calm the Sage Tribe down a bit.
But that's good though, isn't it? Because it's like you say, it's the natural progression though, and I think it just goes to show what sort of level of friendship we all have, and we all have together. Because I can, we talk quite often, and we talk about personal things, about work stuff, talk about random crap.
Yeah.
But that's what a friendship is all about. You've got to be there for people when they really, really need it. And, sometimes you've just got to kind of, people move on in their own friendships and their relationships. Sometimes they do it in an underhand sort of way. But sometimes you've got to realize that life is too short. And it is. Life is far too short. But we know that there is things on the other side.
Very true. I'm just looking in the chat room, and Alex has just commented saying, and she's coming too, with a question mark. Alex, yes, she is coming. She will be joining us at the Sage Paracon this year in November.
But
thank you.
That it is great that we're, everybody's really, really good friends. Everybody here at Parasearch, we're behind all of our friends.
I've got the support of Parasearch, but I mean, looking at people that I would consider part of the Sage Tribe, you've got the guys from Wednesbury Paranormal, you've got Chris Chellenham from Haunted Houses, you've got Hazel from Haunted Happenings and all her crowd, you've got, there's so many people, so many teams. LaCour Paranormal that's in the chat room, which is Alex
Paranormal.
Spectre Ghost Seekers. Oh my goodness, I can keep rambling off team names and things. And it's across the board. It's across events companies. It's across paranormal teams, psychic mediums, all sorts. Because, I'm not in competition with anybody. I don't have to be in competition. The paranormal will always be there. There is more than enough to go around for all of us. I just like finding people who are genuinely interested in it, that want to come together, have a great time, and from my events, Karen and Eddie and them at Keep Paranormal, they've put their events on and they've advertised all of their events to the Sage Tribe. And I've gone, oh my God, go support them. I can't be there, but hell, go and do it. It's about sharing and inspiring each other and helping each other.
Definitely.
It's how it is supposed to be.
Yeah. And I think that there is that. And I think a lot of the older mediums now, like, your Derek Akoras and, Sally and all these people who are famous, they're actually now going on Facebook Live and trying to encourage other people to kind of speak out and to kind of be heard. And I'm seeing quite a lot of mediums now who are doing Facebook Live tarot readings and are coming through the ranks, and people who've never been heard of before. And I think it's a great platform, and I think a lot of people underestimate the power of Facebook.
Absolutely. It's an opportunity to showcase who you are. It's an opportunity to meet other people. And like doing the live readings and that sort of thing. It's a great platform.
Yeah. Do you think it leaves some of the mediums though open to criticism?
Yes, definitely. Like anything. I mean, as an investigator, you put any evidence out there, and unless people were at your investigation, unless they experienced that moment or saw you capture that piece of evidence during the investigation, you're going to be under fire.
Enormous scrutiny.
Yeah. Exactly. Everybody's going to scrutinize everything that you put out there. It's just unfortunately how it is. And a good investigator knows that if you're going to share evidence, you need to be prepared for the questions that get thrown at you. You need to be prepared for the skepticism. You need to be prepared for other people looking at your work and going, well, hang on a second, giving their opinion. Hell, some of them might know a little bit more than you. So you've got to be open-minded and listen to their opinions. You get trolls, and obviously don't take the trolls to heart. But if you have somebody who genuinely has more experience than you that tries to give you some feedback, at least be open-minded to it. And I think it's the same with doing psychic readings and things online. You're going to be open to the scrutiny and all of that, but it's a chance to showcase. With that, you're going to take the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Well, it's like anything, isn't it? It's like the TV shows. One TV show, somebody might absolutely find it amazing, and another person will say, well, actually, I find it pretty boring. So
exactly,
you're not going to please anybody, are you? Or everybody. So
can't please everyone.
Exactly. So, well, with that, we are coming. I can't believe it's been 10 o'clock already.
Oh my gosh.
And we were sat there going, oh, it's just like a chat amongst friends, isn't it? Well, it is actually. I always think it flows, when you've got history with somebody anyway. But I just want to say thank you so much for joining me this evening.
Thank you for having me.
And also have your safe travels. I hope to God you're not traveling with Thomas Cook.
Actually.
Yeah, it's really sad what happened, but have a safe trip to the US in a couple of days' time.
Thank you.
I want to hear all about it when you come back.
Well, one more thing I just wanted to throw out there is anyone in America that's listening to this, Belgrove Plantation Paracon in Virginia at Belgrove Plantation in King George. They still have tickets. So get online and come and join me. That'd be great.
Would be great. So, and if I was free this weekend and I had the cash, I'd be coming with you. But unfortunately, I can't.
Well, no, it's next year, Joe.
Oh, yeah, there is next year. And guess what? I'll have a lot more free time next year as well. But thank you so much, MJ, for joining me this evening. And for all you guys who are listening to the Parallel Prism show, don't forget we're here next Monday evening. And I will be talking to the lovely Luke, and I'm not going to try and say his surname because I can't say it, but I will speak to him prior to that. But if you want to join us next week, or you actually missed this, you can click like, share, and subscribe. I think I got that right. And you can catch up on YouTube, and you can catch up on our Facebook profile, Parasearch Radio. And you can also catch up on other shows that we've got this week with the lovely Paul, Terry, Penny, Richard, Mark, and the lovely Sam and Carl as well. So thank you so much for listening this evening. And it's over and out from me.
Good night, guys.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to join us for more shows throughout the week. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and the World Wide Web to keep up to date with all the shows right here on Parasearch Radio.